G'day everybody and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show. Today on the pod, it is the 2-minute warning out of round 3. What round was that?
Three.
Keep that in.
Yeah, this is our intro.
Today on the pod, it's a 2-minute warning out of round 3. If you haven't subscribed, wherever you listen to your podcast, please do that. Leave us me dead.
Just say get into it. Stick it in, whatever you call it.
Stick it in.
Yeah, whatever it is.
What do you say?
Get stuck in.
There you go.
Let's get stuck in. Subscribe, tell your friends, let's get stuck in.
Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.
All right, this is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name is Nick Rynne, joined by Xavier Ellis and Ryan Daniels. So I had a sketchy start.
No, you're this close. You've had this responsibility for far too long. We have let you get away with it.
But then Xavier took it and he cooked the first take.
No. This is you.
the read.
You've thrown the room off.
I really have.
That
haven't I?
early performance
I think
was
the aircon's
disgraceful.
out. The aircon's out today, I think, and it's just a bit too warm. Or is that normal?
It's always hot in here.
It's always steamy in here.
hot in here. Be better. It's a script you've read how many times now? 500.
500.
This is actually the 500th time.
So, we will do a quick acknowledgement of this off the top. This is our 500th episode. So we've been doing this since, when? What's it? It was like 6-7 years?
2017?
It was definitely pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID because I remember we were doing it.
Rhino was in the mailroom at the time.
Yeah.
He's worked his way
Yeah,
up.
old tadpole. He was just a little sperm in the ball bag.
But yeah, shout out to everybody who's jumped on board over the journey and listened to us and contributed with questions and everything. And also to the other people who's helped us with episodes along the way. So Jackson Barrett, Ryan Daniels. Daniels.
That's me.
Thanks for your help.
Far out. You are cooked.
Jackson Barrett, Chris Robinson, Eliza Riley for a while she was in the building was doing the AFL
Jake
shows.
Colvin.
Jake Colvin.
Xavier Ellis.
Thanks very much for your help.
Yeah.
It's all been, everybody's really just been supporting me. Really.
Yeah.
You've taken all oxygen out of the room, Nick Rynne.
My goodness. My goodness.
But that's massive. We've been doing this longer than we think.
500 is a lot.
500 is a lot.
It's a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
it's a lot of episodes. And now, as people who tuned in late last week would realise that we're now doing 3 episodes
We are
a
on
week.
3 a week, yes.
We are on 3 a week. So
we
for
come
those,
in 3 separate days to do this 3 recordings.
Yes. So if you missed it last week, we're now doing a Friday pod, which is called Nick. I'm
The Friday teams.
I don't know.
Is it a Friday teams?
Is that
it's just the teams.
Josh,
isn't it?
what's it called? Do we have a name for it?
The teams with thanks to Tab Touch.
So are we expecting the cake to come in now, or are you doing that later,
Yeah.
Josh? Is there candles?
You going to do biscuits?
I contemplated organising something.
But you didn't. You didn't. Just to
We're
clarify.
going to roll a big fat one with Nick later on.
He calls that a Monday night.
How good's that?
My goodness.
How are we going, boys? How'd you go? Zave tapped out of the first Friday.
He did.
Easing his way into it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was in Melbourne over the weekend. Do you want a quick little bit about the flight back
Oh, yeah,
from
where do we
Melbourne?
go?
Well, yes, but I want to ask a question here firstly. When you flew over to Melbourne,
Yes.
as I've already grilled you about
Yeah.
before, you sat separately to your family.
Correct,
You sat
not denying it.
close to the front of the plane. They sat.
Well, there's only rows of
3 in a row.
3, and there's 4 of us.
Yeah,
yes.
but you could have sat in the next seat along to that.
Yeah,
So it could have been
I
a
don't
3
know.
and a 1. I've done that before, and you rotate the parent, so the parent gets a break every now and then, and the other parent deals with the kids.
Oh, for God's
Instead,
sakes,
for you,
it's a flight to
you were
Melbourne.
right at the front of the plane, and they were at the back of the plane in that seat where right next to the toilets and the
They
food.
were at the back, yes.
Right,
correct.
where the barge, you get barged
Yeah.
into by the cart every 2
Yeah.
seconds. And then, apparently, as everyone was getting off the flight, he was standing in business class saying goodbye. And everyone kept saying, "Oh, hey, Zave. G'day, Zave." Just giving him a little
Kissing
bit.
babies.
He was taking selfies, kissing babies, while his poor wife was at the back of the plane with 2 young boys struggling.
Correct.
You can't get back
None
there.
of that's false.
There you
Against
go.
the flow?
There you go.
None of that's false.
This is your.
He's learned. He's wants Basil Zemplis' career path here from Triple M to politics. So he's just sitting there.
I've
meeting
told
the
Baz.
people.
I've told Baz when he's premier, I'm in.
What seat do you want?
Well, I told him I'd take Churchland's. And
Oh,
that was
that's
always
his
the
one.
plan.
Yeah,
That's
that's
his
him.
one. You're gonna have to move.
He'd go federal.
No, give me Churchland's.
Okay.
Basil will do something by then.
He can go somewhere.
He'll be out by then. Baz would have corrupted something. No, so on the way, leaving back here to Perth from Melbourne, was over there for a few bits and pieces. Flying back, an alarm started going off just after takeoff, like a phone alarm.
That's
and it kept going, and to the stage where everyone's like, I had noise cancelling headphones on. I could still hear it faintly, and I was like, turn it off. Whose bag is it?
So it's someone's phone, you think?
Phone bag going
In the
phone-
overhead or?
No, I don't know. Anyway, bloke stands up and he gets barked at by the hostie. Sit down. We're still,
Yeah.
and he's like, there's a bag under my seat that's not mine.
Oh, no.
And the alarm's going off in this bag that's not
Jeez.
mine.
Oh, no.
And this is so I'm on the left side. This is maybe 6 rows to my right on one of the big planes. So business divider, then us at the back.
Okay, you're at the back. Okay.
Back, yeah,
Just
yep.
checking.
So anyway, I'm trying to lip read, and the lady's like, "Oh goodness!" By the time we were up flat, seatbelt light's still on. No one get out of your seat. This phone's going crazy with the bag. She's holding it up. Got on the mic, on the phone. I found there's been a stray bag being found with an alarm going off inside it. If this is your bag, please speak up.
This is your worst nightmare.
And I'm thinking, I was thinking to Em, if this plane turns around, I'll be so flat. I was going to get on the mic and go, look,
Right, chances
we
are.
don't have too many bombs go off in planes in Australia. Who votes so we keep going? And then, but anyway.
You were willing to chance it that the plane exploded and killed hundreds of people just so that you could get back in time.
To get to the sporty on Saturday. I was going to take a punt and just say, look, we plough on. Anyway, it kept going and going, and I reckon it was the last chance before we had to turn around and go back to Melbourne, which they have to do if they've found a stray bag with alarms going off in it.
Yeah.
She walks up, this lady, the hostie, did a wonderful job, composed. Still no one really had an idea what was going on other than like the 10 rows around. She walked up to the front, and then I was like, this is it. She's going to come back with this bag and then turn around. Bag gone. She goes, resolved.
What'd she do with it?
Issue resolved.
What'd she do with it? Throw it out.
Threw it out the emergency exit.
No, she didn't.
No. So the bag belonged to a lady. Now, this is a kicker. She had her noise-cancelling headphones in.
Oh, just couldn't. Oh, my God.
And visually impaired.
Oh.
So couldn't see, she couldn't hear an announcement
All
going off
commotion.
and couldn't see anything. So this bag's getting held up. She's like, I can't see shit. So whatever.
She's in one of those
Anyway, so it
sensory
must have. I don't understand.
tanks.
Maybe someone put the bag on for her and her seat changed or something.
Maybe.
Don't know how it panned out, but yeah, she was just completely oblivious.
Wow.
To her alarm and everything going off
That's
in her
amazing.
bag. Yeah. Anyway, that was a little entertainment early.
terrifying.
Christ
How was the? Were you ready to do something? Were you ready to fight, or were you terrified? Like, what were you going to do if there was a terrorist on the plane?
Terrorist, you fight, but I was more pissed if we had to turn around. I'd rather sit on a Terry for 4 hours, holding him, squishing him,
Terry.
than have to turn around. So I'd just sit on him for 4 hours and be like,
WA Police can handle
we're
this.
dealing with this in Perth. Nobody move. Anyway,
Speaking of people who cross the ditch to Melbourne, right? You've been popping up on? What are you? Sunday Rub?
I might have gone national.
Wowee.
Sunday Rub. The Sunday
Wowee.
Rub now. Every Sunday. Tune in, Triple M.
Pre-recorded the last little bit, I understand.
Yeah, well, that's...
I may have been talking to someone and there's like, oh, sorry, mate, we're pre-recorded now.
As an arrangement. It's like they're going to
move around Rhino.
to their
Yeah.
places.
No, I know.
I've got places to be.
I know, so prepare yourself for next week.
No, here we go. You're coming at me, are you?
Well, that's the only reason why I know you're pre-recorded.
No, it's good.
No, well done. It's
good.
It's good to
for
see
us.
you doing.
Good for the show. Someone here in this collection of people was trying to bring a national exposure to the brand.
Yeah.
We are
I'm
national.
trying
Yeah,
to do that.
we are. And of course, YouTube. Do tune in on YouTube.
Yeah,
People
YouTube's
do chime
been
in with some
firing.
comments and stuff like that.
That's
so
true.
Jump in,
Hardballgets
fire
AFL
up.
show.
I think I was being heckled last week for my
Your man bag.
my man bag.
That's
And then, believe it or not, a young gentleman by the name of X Ellis or Swaggy X Ellis or
Funny
someone
that.
said, "Geez, good bag, mate."
Funny that. Hey, my multi hit.
That's
We
correct.
did our first multis on Friday, and do you know what the most annoying part of it is?
What?
I had a couple of mates message me and go, "Oh, could have told me." And I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't even place it.
No.
Yeah,
no.
mate.
I forgot to place
Your
my
own
own
multi.
bet.
No,
Which one?
We need to commit to just placing.
Yeah,
and
well,
then
I meant to do it, and then I got distracted. But
I
it
got
was.
Ethan Reid. I was a one Ethan Reid goal away.
Were you really?
Yeah.
You were that close? I did
Yeah.
worry when you said Ethan Reid 2 goals. So I had Seth Campbell a goal, Darcy Wilson a goal, Saints 16 plus, and McRae 30 plus. I think.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Came off.
Well done.
And I got a few.
Very
I
well
got
done.
a few messages from guys who followed and said thank you very much.
Yeah, so quickly, Friday's podcast will be, we look at the Thursday night,
teams.
the teams come out.
Yeah.
So we'll preview each game, have a look at...
Quick review of Thursday.
You know, what's happening from the team selection and
Yeah.
injuries and all
And then
that sort
hardball
of
bet
stuff.
segment where we play some.
And
multi.
then we'll put a little multi on
Yeah,
at the end.
exactly. Bit of fun.
Right, and just we do have a bit of audio to fold in.
We do have a little bit of audio. Sorry, I did forget about that. Now, Rhino, there's a man that you don't want to stash. You don't want a stoush.
What's
and his
happening?
name rhymes with Kane Cornes.
Oh, Kano's had another crack, has he?
Well,
How many times is Kano going to have a crack at me?
So I'm going to play it through my mic, but then we're going
He's
to
a
put
fragile man, Kano over there. Hey? What is he so angry about all the time? Here we go.
Pull your socks up. Look, I'm hard on this guy because I really like him and I think he does a great job. But Ryan Daniels has written an article in the West Australian and it's about Harley Reid of all people. And he's got a 3-word message for those people that keep talking about Harley Reid. And the 3-word message is, let him be. And he's written sort of a poem at the start, or he's changed the lyrics to the Let It Be song about Harley Reid. Let him be, let him be. I feel like saying, Ryan, if you want to let him be, my advice to you would be, don't write another article about him. Like, how many Harley Reid articles has Ryan Daniels written, and the newspaper, mind you, about Harley Reid? So if you want to live by let him be, maybe just don't write about him.
It might continue on from that, I'm not sure. But
He's not the only person to contact me about that. Someone else in the media said, look, I liked what you wrote, but if you don't want people to talk about him, why are you writing about it?
Correct.
Now,
who was that person?
Clint Wilden from ABC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He just said, before anyone else gets to you, I did have a crack at you on radio. But,
right.
Me and Clint are good. We're good.
Yeah,
I was like, mate, have a crack.
You still use his driveway for drop-off?
I do, yeah. School
there
drop-off.
we go.
That's where I park and it makes it very easy. No, Clint's great. I mean, I understand the hypocrisy in writing an article.
Did you, though? At the time?
Yeah.
You did at the time?
Yeah, because I stopped and went,
also-
if I write this, am I kind of contradicting exactly what I'm
What do you
saying?
mean,
Anyone
what
who's
do you
ever-
mean, kinda?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I understand. No, the point
Anyone
was,
who's ever written a column knows that sometimes you just have nothing else to
I
write
didn't
about.
know,
You just
but-
got to go.
But
You gotta come up with
hold
ideas.
on. Nowhere in the column did I say no one should ever talk about Harley Reid. All I said was, can we dial back the drama a little bit? Because in the last few weeks, we've heard he's worth $2 million. He's not worth half of that. He's going to Essendon. West Coast should sell high. He's a brat. He's a dickhead. Like, we've heard everything on Harley Reid in 2 weeks. So the point of the column was, can we just pull the brakes back a little bit? I think we can all see the issues. We can all see he's not quite fit. We can all see he needs to tone down the aggressive stuff, although that is part of him.
But I don't think shoving someone's aggressive.
It's an aggressive action. I'm not saying tough. I'm saying aggressive. That's a different thing. You're saying it doesn't make him a tough guy. I'm saying he's being aggressive in that moment if he's pushing people over and scrapping. All I'm saying is...
Are you tickling West Coast here?
No. And mate,
functions,
I
hang
even
out.
said it. No, I even said at the bottom. I even said at the bottom, he might end up being Jake Stringer. Like, this is... I don't
did
know
you?
where Harley's going to go. But let's just watch it play out for a little
Yeah.
bit before we just continue. This was a constant cycle.
But this is a problem
And
with-
I was going to write it the week before, and I went, you know what? I don't want to add to it. And then it went another week,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, stuff it. I'm going to write it. And a lot of the feedback I got was, thank you, from some people. The other side was like, well, you're the problem. You're part of the problem. The paper's part of the problem. I only write one article, one column a week. I put it in there and I give my thoughts.
It's turning into a very long defence.
No.
Yeah.
I get what Kano's saying, though.
How do you
It's good.
find him, Your Honour?
You can talk about Harley Reid, of course. You can talk about Harley Reid, but can we just pull the brakes back a little bit on the
Just thinking too
over-dramatisation?
really quickly on Harley.
Here we go.
No.
Thanks for listening.
Which other player is
Has
of
copped this
interest?
much. Yeah.
No, not even. But who's of interest at West Coast that you can write on?
This is also very true.
Yeah, well,
who is interested in reading? Like
Archer Reid.
Archery, tip your hat this last.
he was very good.
But you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
who else are you going to write an article?
yeah,
on the people
no,
who
talk
read?
about Harley Reid as a football player, and we should talk about him. But it's.
But I'll give you the tip: if you write an article on Hewitt or Hawthorn, you're not getting.
He's not getting the same cut through.
No, well, that's part of it too, right? He generates interest. That's why all these shows are talking about him all the time. Kane, of all people, talks about him more than anyone. Let him be, Kano.
You want to say stop having an opinion on other people's opinions, Kane?
Yeah, well, now I'm having an opinion on him having an opinion on
Of
other
your
people's
opinion.
opinions.
So this has been a little bit long intro, but I think we just need to address on a bit of a more somber note. Condolences to the friends and family of Andrew Krakouer.
Yes.
He sadly passed away over the weekend.
Yes, that 2010 grand final in the Waffle.
It's
we
the
spoke
greatest
about-
individual performance
Yeah.
we've ever seen.
And people who say, it's the Waffle. That
Doesn't
was
matter.
a cracking game of footy, and he was three levels
Yeah,
above.
40 plus and kicked 4 goals.
It was, and the
Yeah.
pressure on him going into that game because he was
Sandover
Sandover
medalist.
medalist,
Yeah.
and everyone he'd been on that path where he'd gone through some difficult things, came out and was turning his life around, and to go on that stage and do it. remarkable stuff, and then to go on and do it at the AFL level as well.
Correct. Playing a grand final
It was
for Collingwood.
honestly
Kicked 3 in a granny.
really sad. Yeah, only
That was-
42, which
it's
makes
just-
you think.
I remember that grand final so vividly because I was very, very hungover after
The Swans one?
The Swan Districts one after the Kalgoorlie Cup on a couch in Kalgoorlie. But I got up and about. That was about as much as you got from me that day.
Yeah, right. Tremendous season. And as you said, it's funny how the first part of his career was pretty good.
Yeah,
And then he just emerged.
But then as a person too, he started doing a lot more in the community.
He
and
did a
everything.
lot of the
So,
community and started a media career, which he was good in the media too. I liked what he did.
I agree, Varlo.
All right, well, let's kick off the 2-minute warning for round 3. Zave, why don't you lead us off, mate?
Oh, come to Papa. The Hawks. The Hawks win the premiership.
Oh,
You're calling it already.
done.
That's it.
Call off the season.
I'm all in on the Hawks. No, what I will say is I was having a conversation with someone on Saturday and he goes, yeah, mate, well, you've had all the good draft picks. Bounce back, you've had all the good draft picks.
Had a good draft pick.
Well, I think because Cam McKenzie played well and Ward played well, might have been a bit of an ammunition to they're both high-end draft picks. I thought.
Yeah.
So I haven't had ones and twos.
Oh,
No. So I think
the Wizards
8
their
and
highest.
4, Wizard was far.
Yeah, Wizard,
I think it's
yeah.
four.
So anyway, but I think that's what they're thinking is, of course, the Wizard, McKenzie, Ward, that they are all top 10 draft
Yeah.
picks.
Yep.
But anyway, so I did a little bit of research. I found this pretty remarkable. This is probably their best 24 and where they've come from. Really quickly, these are their picks. Hardwick 44, Warple 45, Sicily 56, Dylan Moore 67, Morrison 74, Mitch Lewis 76. Then there's D'Ambrosio delisted free agent. Newcomb mid-season. Nash from Ireland, Luke Brewster rookie, CJ the DJ a Cat B rookie, Jarman Impey a trade where it was picked 33-61 for Impey in a 4th round, so flip of the bird, whatever
State
that is.
nice.
Scrimshaw in a 4th for a 3rd, so
Wow.
he literally just went forward a couple of picks to ditch him. Deary, father-son, but no other club
No,
was
well, he was
interested in
nowhere.
Deary.
It wasn't Sam Darcy.
No one was interested there, and Lloyd Meek was out of the waffle.
Wow.
So there's
That is
15, 16
incredible
players.
list building.
100%. And remember for years we're saying no first round draft picks, they're slaughtered it. No
Yeah.
first round
Yeah.
draft picks, they're tanking.
Doesn't
Don't
matter
get me
if you
wrong,
do that-
they've
do
got
that.
some cream coming through, but that's not. Their team's not built around high-end picks and high-end talent. That is unbelievable.
That's the true genius of the list build, right? Because not anyone can nail top 10 picks, but you're much more likely to nail them.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Like if you
Essendon.
look at Carlton's list, right? They got all these number 1 picks on
Yeah.
there, and look where they're going. Like they may turn it around, but Hawthorn's doing this on bargain basement
and
stuff.
now they're bringing in Battle. So I just extend for 1 second because it just happened. Now they're bringing in Battle, Barras, Carl Amon,
Oscar Allen.
those sort of players, but they're still not blowing it out and going, right, we're going to try and crowbar the biggest names in the game.
The other part of this too is because they don't have a Harley,
Yeah.
where they're going to go, we need $2 million to pay this guy. They don't have anyone who's going to command that money. So that the
Well,
salary
probably
cap
Will Day-
is going to be
Will
spread.
Day, yeah.
Will
Yeah,
Day's probably going to
closest.
be, but he's not going to be $2
Well,
million.
He was picked in the teens as
yeah,
well.
I think he was
Will Day.
19 or something. The theory, too, that Clarko had and Sam Mitchell was under was if those stars leave 20% on the table,
Yeah.
you get a good player from another club every year. So think about Hawthorn, they went Burgoyne, they
Yeah.
went Brian Lake, they went Jack Gunston,
Gibson.
they went David Hale, they went Josh Gibson.
Yep.
Now they've
McAvoy,
gone
big boy,
McAvoy. And they were always one of the highest end paid players because that's what it took to get them out of the club they were in.
Yeah.
But that money was left behind by Mitchell, Hodge, Franklin, Lewis, those players with Rioli, which creates the players that can now come in, Battle, Barras, and I'm sure they'll land another one next off season.
Yeah.
And it's also gone on to a lot of those players at Hawthorn have had careers in either media or coaching because of their
Well, that was
success.
always the thing
Yeah.
was they'll get their money back in the future.
Yes.
And last but not least, Mitchell, I think I mentioned it last week, said we can't play like Melbourne, we can't play like Richmond when they're at the peak of their powers. What about they played one key forward in Chol and subbed him off?
Yeah.
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 Like that is the way footy's going. So teams that are loading up with keys, and I'm going to get to key positions being the most overrated position on the ground, key forwards. They now are just small whippets with fast game style, and I
Yeah.
reckon Mitchell has nailed the next
Yeah.
phase of AFL
Yeah.
football, and
Yeah.
it showed
No-
on the
no
weekend
tools.
when they were scoring against the Breeze in the third quarter. I'm joking about premiership, but geez, they've got to be in the top few.
If you're 5'10" right now and you're 16, it's a good time to be
yeah.
moving.
Great time.
Develop some candy.
5 years ago, you might have gone undrafted.
Yes,
now you
correct.
might be a top 10 pick.
You're running point guard in the D's on Thursday night.
T3.
Correct. Let's go to GWS then because they played each other. It was a really good game of footy. The wind made it hard. You see the posts shaking and in Lonnie?
Yeah.
Well, we said that in the lead-up. Like, we wish this was somewhere on a
Yeah.
cleaner deck.
Did you see Ben? Yeah, it's like Ballarat Oval. It's disappointing when you
Yeah.
see it. It blows its ass out.
Yeah.
Did you see Ben Dixon at 3/4 time?
Yeah, that's right.
Threw the paper up to show us what was happening, and one of the Hawthorn players thought Dicko had lost his papers or something. Like, chased after this bit of rubbish for Dicko.
I wanted to highlight a couple of things. Jesse Hogan looked like he hadn't missed any footy
Yeah,
at all.
good to see him
Fantastic. Toby Bedford, I reckon this guy, he's a great tagger.
Yeah, but what was his
He
actual...
was a small at Melbourne.
What was his actual role?
Yeah, I just thought
Like Will Day got off the
I love
chain.
his activity. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't think he always has to tag.
Yeah, I think he does.
You think he's
Yeah,
that's
I think
his,
he
that's
does.
it.
Just eliminate the best player. Just
Yeah.
get rid of him. Will Day turned that game in that second quarter, and it was game over.
Yeah.
Well, that goal, he tried to square it up and then it slid through
Well,
for a goal.
he kicked two in a
Shows
matter
you
of
the
minutes,
win.
and one
Yeah.
was taken back. But yeah,
Finn Callahan was interesting to me because we're all very excited about his
Yeah.
season. We thought, here we go. We're on the Finn Callahan's going to the moon. And I think just watching him on Saturday night, it was like, this is the next part where the other teams are going, hey, we better put some time
he got,
into
fin-
Finn
he got,
Callahan.
he got finned after half time.
He did.
Yeah.
And so the attention is now there. And, you know, it used to be Josh Kelly, maybe a
Yeah.
Lockie Whitfield who still got a bit of attention, but it's going to be an interesting education now for Finn.
His first quarter was spectacular
Yeah.
with the win.
Yeah.
He ran, bounced, carried,
Yeah. So then
ignored
it was like,
options.
okay, no
so
more.
then when they had the wind in the third quarter, Mitchell was like, no, we're not copping that.
No.
And that's when Mitch pulled a card out of his sleeve he hasn't used all year.
Yep.
And tagged him
Yeah.
with Finn...
Callahan.
No, Finn
McGuinness.
Yeah.
Finn McGuinness went to him, which he hadn't done all year. He'd just been
Yeah.
a forward. And
Finn off.
then just cancelled him. He ended up with 21 touches, I think, Callahan. But it could have been a 30 easily if he hadn't been stamped.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have much else. The Eagles, they got the Eagles this week.
Margin?
Well, they're
82.
competitive against Brisbane.
Where
competitive
at?
against West Freo.
At NG's.
50?
They weren't competitive.
40, 50?
They should
Is
have
that
been-
at the
should have been
showgrounds?
80 yesterday.
Is that at the
It's
NG?
in Sydney.
Where is it? Is that
60 mils of
Assuming
rain.
it's at NG.
But isn't
Yeah, it
isn't
is.
the show on soon?
I think it's
They
there.
might have to read out. Okay, well, I'll go to... Speaking of premiership favourites, probably should table Brisbane as a... No one's too excited about them, but their reigning premiers have now gone 3-0 to start the year.
Can I ask a question? Is it the most unconvincing 3-0 from a good team? Like,
So who
Yeah,
have
but
they-
that's what I mean. Like, they're
It's
just
weird.
getting it done.
they beat Sydney,
gonna have
they
a
beat
great
West
lead-in.
Coast, and they beat Geelong, right?
Okay, the Geelong was impressive.
It was a great comeback. Sydney was a really good win at the SCG. I guess it's been good. I suppose, A, we expect them
Well-
to be good, and B, they haven't had a game where you've been like, man, they're
But
on.
also, you've got to take into account that their training has been all over the place.
True.
Because of the cyclone that ran through there. Like, it just ruined grounds and everything
Yep.
else. Like, they've had a very disrupted lead-in.
Yes.
And they've just got it done.
And another player, Ashcroft, was spectacular on the weekend. I
yes.
saw Fake saying
Yeah.
that was his best game, and that is inclusive
And
of the Norm Smith. But
Lockie Neal hasn't fired
no,
yet.
hasn't fight against West Coast.
Yeah,
had
sorry,
mid-30s
yeah,
where,
that's-
where he just ran around and ran amok. But Dane Zorko,
He just keeps keeping on, doesn't he?
he was one of the main reasons that they got back in it against West
Yeah.
Coast. Like, he just keeps going. He is a spectacular footballer.
Yeah.
And I think now they're...
How old is he now? 35, 36?
36, I reckon.
I think
They're-
there's many people out there at AFL clubs who think he's their most important
Well, their
player.
premiership defence, I was about to say, is built off their back line now.
Yeah.
It's not, Charlie Cameron, there's no Danaher, Hipwood, you're uncertain
The
of. I
spread's
reckon
there now, but
the back line is just going to be the best back line. Midfield's obviously pretty good. And then forward line, they just do enough, don't they? They're still premiership
Yeah.
calibre. But their back line with Zorko, Andrews, even like Ryan Lester just never gets
Lester's
beaten.
a really good Starcevic when he's
Starcevic
there.
never gets beaten.
Yep.
They've got a couple of other key backs, tall.
Payne.
They just don't get beaten. So I think they're like...
Dizzy, was it?
Yeah,
Dizzy.
Dizzy.
Gun. Yes, that's right.
Like Mark LeCras reckons he was playing on him one day, and behind him he was just getting punched. And all he could hear was...
Cobra Kai.
Apparently, it is one who we talk about Big O missing the flag last year.
He was one.
Dizzy
was he?
Garden is also another one who's spoken about in the same calibre as
Yeah,
Big
right.
O. Missing the grand final, like has done so much for that footy club. All right, before we continue, just quickly, as a proud major sponsor of the Fremantle Football Club, Woodside has accepted the challenge of supporting local footy at all levels, from grassroots to greatness, so it can thrive throughout WA. Woodside, Australia's leading energy company. Gold Coast Suns, to speak a bit of French here, we're all wandering around with the odd stiff A about the Gold Coast Suns at the moment. I'm just going to put a little asterisk against it, okay?
Okay.
West Coast are either the worst team or the second worst team.
Yep.
And Melbourne are bottom four side. I'm convinced by that.
Yeah, they're looking.
Melbourne are deplorable.
But you got to
The caveat there is I thought that Melbourne had a chance to stand up on their home turf.
Yeah, but they don't have the ability to.
You don't just say
Yeah.
they
They
can't.
don't have the ability
We'll
to.
get to Melbourne.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So I think, don't get me wrong, great. I like their half-backs coming off half-back. King should have kicked 7
Yeah.
on Stephen
Oh,
May, but
yeah.
I think key forwards might get hold of him this year, just the way he tries to do it all. Anyway, the one thing I think is going to really hurt them eventually is talking about the card that you can pull out of your sleeve. Just losing Charlie Ballard to the ACL. I know
big
Mac.
call.
I know Mac came in and it was a instant replacement, which is great. But if
He's not
Charlie
gonna win the Coleman from
no,
there.
but if Charlie, yeah, it's going to hurt. But I've got him all Australian. But Charlie Ballard Mac Andrew became not the card, not the instant replacement. Where let's go forward for a little bit, let's go back. Now they're really set in stone that Mac Andrew has to play back.
Yeah. You lose the Adam Hunter card.
You lose, but
Yeah.
I think Adam Hunter on steroids eventually. He could have done some really special things. That's one thing that was a little bit disappointing. So they're 2-0, but they go Adelaide at home.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Who starts favourites?
I'll be
Gold
tipping-
Coast
I'll
are
be
favourite
tipping
at
Gold
home.
Coast.
Gold Coast. So I think I'm tipping Gold Coast.
Yeah, I'm tipping Gold
So
Coast.
3-0 would be what we're thinking, and then they go north, and then they go Richmond. So that's a
Pretty
five.
soft,
that's
yeah.
a 5-0 start.
And isn't that
to
the classic
Suns.
Gold Coast to get out and look like $1 million and then
No,
fade?
but I think it's different.
Oh, it is
I think
different.
it's different. Even like old Nettie Flanders playing half
Yeah.
forward, easing him in. The midfield, Matt Rao would have
Matt
to
Rao,
be the
Brownlow
Brownlow favourite.
Yeah.
You have to be on 6 votes.
He,
right
he
now.
was spectacular.
He's everywhere, isn't he? Inside, outside. He used to just get it inside for a while.
So you want to
Now
know what a
he's-
player could be worth? The
Yeah.
highest paid player, Matt
Matt
Rao
Rao.
being out of contract could be the big deal that Giants need to do.
Let's go to the Western Bulldogs. They're holding up pretty well without Bont, Trelaw,
Pretty well.
Hagen,
Yeah.
Waitman. They've been great. They could be 3-0 if it wasn't
They're
for
holding up incredibly well. And
Yeah.
I went overs, and I thought I must have been on the booze when I did it, but they have held
come
up
off.
unbelievably well.
Libba is playing out of his mind. He's leading from the front, going really well. They play the
Can you-
Dockers here.
Can you
next
be all
Sunday.
Australian captain if you're not actually captain of the team?
Yeah, I think that's happened before.
Yeah,
Buddy?
Buddy was captain.
Buddy was captain.
Ah, cool.
All Australian captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was Hawkins. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Liver at the moment, if you could play under
Yeah.
any captain, I'm picking Liver.
Yeah.
Go on, Liver. I want to give a shout out to Sam Davidson, the doctor.
Yes.
Oh, mate.
Far
How
out.
good.
23 years old. So I just never understand how these guys slip through. Bevo compared him to Peter Matera on the
Yeah.
weekend. He says he's
Well-
playing like Peter Matera out there. Pick 51. He had
with-
31 and 10 marks, and it's not just the numbers, but he bobs up every 2 seconds. He
Yeah.
finds so much space. He must be an incredible running machine, and he uses the footy really
So
well.
you see when after the game, I think Bevo went to him and it didn't say thank you, but essentially you could tell it was like a thank you. Like we needed big special performances
Yeah.
and you just delivered for
Yep.
us. So thank you. This is how these players get missed in my mind. So he's obviously an accumulator.
Yeah.
So at the end of the game, they go, he's had 7 or 8 turnovers.
Yeah, but I don't.
Well, when you kick it 26 times, you're allowed to have 7 or 8
Yeah.
turnovers.
I don't think he was
But-
missed. He was playing like local footy, wasn't he? And then into the.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how does it,
but
how
how
does
does
it
that
know?
happen?
Yeah, but you,
Well, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
he just didn't. He didn't.
The,
Oh, yeah, early
the
days.
system typically funnels
Funnels you
any
in.
talent
Yeah,
into the
that's true.
space. Like somebody at some footy club at some point must have gone, well, this guy's too good to be here.
Yeah.
Like we need to get him into this space.
Yeah.
But no, but either maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't know. Maybe there was
Wasn't
another
his
factor
focus.
at play.
Yeah, and he's an academic as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they. I was
Focus
watching,
on
I was watching
school.
the UFC yesterday in Mexico, and one of the fighters like, he's the highest paid UFC fighter. I was like, why's that? No, I thought you'd think John Jones. He's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
he's a
gone down to
UFC
UFC
fighter.
fighter. Yeah,
Wow.
and
He creates his own business.
And, and he bounced the bloke's head. I can tell you that, mate.
And then hands him a card.
Yeah.
Oh, here's your referral, mate. Come see me.
Come see me, mate. Where, mate? Is this back to me?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
Collingwood, they obviously had the bye, but so there's limited stuff to talk to from the weekend. But Lockie Schultz, I just wanted to highlight him. His last 2 games, like this is kind of why they got him in.
Yeah.
So the last 2 games, 17 disposals in both of them, 1 goal in one, 2 goals in the other, 7 tackles. Like this is, he copped a lot of heat last year
Well, I was
leading
going
into
to
it.
say, were we heading into disaster trade spaces.
He was for a little bit, yeah. Although they didn't, because they flipped it. They would have flipped that pick.
There's
part
a bit
of the Bolton one, right?
A little bit of the Chris Maines about it.
Yeah.
Chris.
They start and then resurgent.
Yes,
Collingwood wanted
yeah.
to trade him back
Yeah.
with a pick.
Yeah.
They wanted to do the Jack
Yeah.
Bowes before Jack Bowes.
And then he went back, and he was that grand final at 2018. He didn't make a mistake.
No, he tackles and
Yeah, he was great,
Anyway.
Chris. Anyway, but that's Lockie Schultz. He's ridden through that adjustment period where everyone's going him, and he gets the Collingwood effect of the spotlight on him. To now, this
I
is
wouldn't
what he's
say
playing the
I wouldn't
role.
say he's ridden through it yet.
You think it's still time if he has a
Yeah,
bad game? I know.
The jury's still out, Nicholas.
Well, I think he's had a good start, and this is
No,
this
good
is
start.
a player.
No, good
but
start.
that's the Lockie Schultz that we know.
Yes. It's bet this is what they wanted.
The one thing that they didn't know when they got him is he can slaughter the footy.
Yeah, he's not,
I've
he's not-
got a couple of mates who are Collingwood supporters, and it's dawned that that's not what he's.
You gotta
known
get him a bit
He's
closer
not
to
known.
goal,
He's
yeah.
not known for that.
He's tough and he goes real hard and he give you 1,000%.
Correct.
Anyway, well, look, sorry, he didn't play a game.
No,
on
no,
the
we-
weekend.
no,
Found
we
something.
just-
No,
we
good
just
Well, you guys
say
hate
that.
Lockie Schultz.
Good try. Good try.
Yeah, no, we got there almost.
4
All right, let's
points
wrap
for
this up.
Eddie.
That's 2 minutes.
It's about a minute 40.
St Kilda, they've won 2 games.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back Richmond to lose by 100 points every single week to the end of the year.
Yeah.
They'd end up being 80 odd.
Yeah.
They were up by 8 points at half time and ended up kicking 14 goals in the second half.
Jesus.
But I thought, St Kilda, there's not really, tip of the hat, well done. Sinclair special, etc. Let's talk about the suspension of the being pushed into the contest situation.
So the difference
3 weeks.
The difference according to the AFL in this space, and Michael Christian flagged this, was that the difference would be when the player doing the push could foresee and actually see the contact coming ahead.
Yeah.
So if you look at all the other ones, it was like sort
Pushing
of
into
a
the back of a
blind
contest.
push,
Yeah.
and things just happened around them.
Things happen quick.
They're suggesting that in this case, that Mansell should have been able to see Lynch and Wilkie charging like a freight train towards that contest.
Sometimes
and
it's
the nudge.
instincts too to protect yourself and not.
Well, I think let's
ya.
give Mansell
Yeah.
the benefit of the doubt and assume that he wasn't trying to throw someone under an actual bus.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to kill
Yeah.
someone.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
I don't think he would have been doing that. Now, was he trying
But
to
do you
create
think
some
it's
space?
a suspendable offence?
I think they're going to have to do something.
They want to
about
crack
this.
down about it now, so they have to.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It's kind of similar to the stupid charge rule in the NBA, where players jump in front at the last second.
Oh, yeah, you got
and
to
try
draw
to
space to
and they
land.
keep calling it a charge. It's like someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I think in this scenario, it's like, guys, just don't do that.
Don't push him into a freight train.
Don't push them away
Nah.
into something if you don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So they should have done this in the first place if they were going to do it. But they, in classic AFL, they let 5 things happen, then they do it.
Stamp it. I got pushed into a marking contest
Did ya?
like that once. I don't know if you'll be able to find the video, Joshy. I think we should put it up. I was running back and then got pushed into a contest and broke my nose, dislocated shoulder, and knocked me out. The only slight issue was it was me bloody teammate.
Who pushed you?
Pushed me into it.
Who was it?
Josh Hill. and to
So you're
cherry
playing
on,
at West Coast. At the time.
to cherry on top, I came to West Coast on bugger all money,
Yeah.
but had bonuses along the way.
If you played certain games.
I played 17 games.
No.
I had to get to 18
No.
for 30 grand.
No.
And couldn't play again the rest of the year.
Oh.
And he thought it was funny.
Cost you 30K.
Plus other stuff, yeah.
Who are you playing against? Just so it makes it easier for Josh
Collingwood.
to find it.
Collingwood at Subi 2014, round 20 or something.
Jeez.
Just pushed me into it. Like, absolutely shit mixed me.
That's not great.
But that's, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
dangerous.
Absolutely. Let's do Sydney because it's going to be hard. They come off the bye as well. They play North at Marvel, then they play Collingwood at Gather Round, then they play Port at the SCG. Just an idea of their fixture. Could be Callum Mills' time. So this was around the mark where they thought he'd come back. It could be
Needs to be.
yeah, it might be
Yeah.
another week. It could be now. But where do you play Callum Mills? Are you
Midfield.
putting him straight in the
Straight in
middle?
the
Do you
midfield.
like him at half back?
Go back
He's got to go to midfield now.
Remember, he's younger than what we all thought he was.
He's like 28.
28.
28,
Like, that's
yeah.
still in you. You're still able
Yeah.
to get 30 touches and run. Like,
Yeah,
that's,
when we've discussed Callum Mills, I reckon the last 2 years has almost been just
Yeah.
a blank space on his resume
Yeah,
because
correct.
he was flying up
yeah.
until that.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable up to that.
He's
All
probably the
Australian,
best
everything
mid
like
in the
that.
comp at the time.
Yeah, he's still at the prime age. He goes to the midfield, and he maybe with a new lease from Coxie and a bit of confidence, and I know. And Horse, of course, dropped him for a grand final.
Yeah.
Or didn't play him. Was he dropped or didn't play him?
Didn't pick him.
Didn't
yeah,
pick him.
because he was out the
That's
week
right.
before,
He put his hand up and didn't get picked. I think that you go, look, mate, you're our leader. You're a midfielder. here's what you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I believe you can still do it.
Go be that guy.
You've now got Chad Warner in there who can take some load off your shoulders.
Yeah, they're not worried about you
And
as much.
like, you can run around and he's automatically a defensive midfielder. Like,
And
so you're
he-
going to get that for free.
And he's very good at using the footy and finding space. So if he doesn't have to be the only guy, you say like Heaney's
Well,
had
he's
to
probably
develop.
would he be the fourth banana?
Probably
he would
that
be.
third. If
Gordon.
Gordon's playing, he's fourth. But
Yeah,
Gordon's
yeah,
out.
he'd be third
But
now.
I'd say he's a third banana. In
Where
that
he was
midfield.
probably the first banana there
He
for a
was.
period.
He
Yeah.
would have been. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Thank you.
I think it's time to roll him in.
Blow the siren.
Say
Josh.
that's a good point, Xavier. Like you make the coaches say.
Good point, Xavier.
Yeah, I love the chairman.
Thank you, Ryan.
Fitzy. We'll go to Geelong. Putting a slight watch here on Jeremy Cameron's start.
Oh.
So he's averaging his worst numbers.
You get a murder off Jeremy Cameron.
No,
not
because I'm
murdering him
about to
off.
murder key forward, so this is great.
So he's averaging his worst numbers since his last year at GWS and first year at Geelong, where he took a little while to acclimatise. So last two games against Brisbane, 1 goal, 8 disposals, 4 marks, 5 inside 50s. Against Kilda, 1 goal, 16 disposals, 2 marks, 2 inside 50s. So
Are
if he
they
doesn't,
getting a little bit cute with him? I haven't
I think
seen
they are.
all
Like
their games. It was wet on the weekend too, but
Yeah, not a key forward game on the weekend,
Is he just
obviously,
not a
but-
full forward? Like
It
just,
seems like he's playing.
he's better up the ground, but they need him deeper.
I would-
He's playing as an addition. He doesn't
Yeah.
feel like he's the
that's what I think.
centerpiece.
I think he needs to be the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Well, he absolutely needs to be the centrepiece. Who is Shannon Neal's not the centrepiece?
No.
Um,
Who they played in the final over Hawk.
This is true. Yeah,
Is
he's a
it-
developing forward, but I don't know what it is. Whether they're not looking for him or whether they're playing him out of position
Henry
or
as
whatever.
well.
It's just not. It's not
Is
firing.
it him that doesn't want to be that?
No, I wouldn't have thought. But also, don't forget, like Paddy Dangerfield is down
He's
there
going
as
down
well.
there, yeah.
More. So he's probably a bit
Just-
more of the centerpiece
it
as well.
feels a little bit like that. They're trying to juggle life after Hawk, and they've just forgotten that Jeremy Cameron is the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're also probably Jeremy Cameron's not a spring chicken either. So
No,
they're
he's
probably
getting
looking at
on,
going,
yeah.
we need to invest in Neil and Henry because they're our future.
Yeah.
And we've
No,
also
but
got
you have
Jeremy
to.
Cameron.
But I don't believe in teams like that. The real shitty teams, yes. But Neil's got to do something to take that position off Cameron.
Yeah, you can't just gift it to him.
Yeah.
Neil had a pretty decent back end last
No,
season,
sorry, but
Yeah.
but I'm just saying in terms of
being the man.
that if they were at bottom, 16th, 17th, 18th on the ladder, you say, sorry, Jets, you've had your time.
Yep.
Go up the ground.
Yep.
But Geelong, you guys had them making finals at the start of the year.
I backed the
You were-
institution.
did
yeah.
you Overs?
No,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
think
feel
I
great
did
about
Overs.
it.
But I think Overs got them to 14 wins or
Yeah.
something. There's still a lot of winning football, whether they make it or not.
Yeah.
But so you're not going to hand up a superstar like Jeremy Cameron and be like, go roam around for a while.
Yeah.
I think that they're still in a bit of an area where those people need to take positions.
Yep,
Yeah,
fair enough.
absolutely.
All right, well, let's go key forwards. I'm going to go Carlton off the back of Harry Mackay not playing and Charlie Curnow. They've invested a lot of money in key forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Is the key forward the star highly paid? I was going to say overpaid, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. A highly paid forward becoming the most overrated and overpaid position on the football ground. Off the back of Hawthorn only playing Chol. Let me just go through, and this is for this year. So don't go, Curnow. This is this year. I've got 5 good key forwards total. Tracy, King, Larky, Thriller, and Darcy. The rest, if it hits the ground, it's game over. Here are some numbers. Higgins is 3rd on the Coleman. Then you've got Curtis, who's 6th. Moore, who's 8th. Seth Campbell, 11th. Wood, Keys, Bailey, Georgiades is not. So Rochelle, Watson. There's like all these smalls
Little
now.
brothers.
We're paying these forwards so much money. I can't even remember a game too often where they just rip it to shreds anymore.
Are you talking about this season?
This season, but also just slowly make my way into last year
I think
as
we've
well.
been heading there for a while. I think when they're in their prime, when there's that 2-3 year window of prime, they're worth every dollar. Like you're talking about Darcy and Thriller and Tracy. These guys deserve to be in the top 10 to 15 paid players in the game because they're heading that way.
Well, yeah,
right?
it shows
that,
that
you're going to have.
But if
without
I showed
Tracy.
you the books,
We
there'd be 20 key forwards in the top 40.
So the second
Yes.
tier of forwards
Yes.
now I think is where you're
I
going to
don't think they do anything.
But I think like all those guys you mentioned that are maybe Larky's a bit older, but all those guys are heading into that space. Whereas I think some of the guys who have been in that space, Cameron, maybe Curnow, maybe he's just still recovering
Yeah.
from
I
injury.
think he's still coming
but those guys are coming out of the space.
Yeah, but they're still going to be booking up the whole end of the salary cap.
But I think your top tier is still deserving of the money.
It's a
But
short window.
Your second tier now is probably just middle of the range.
So there's 15 key forwards. No, call it 13 key forwards that aren't those 5.
Yeah.
The number one key forward in each team.
yeah.
tell me I don't know anyone who turns on the footy to watch them.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of teams who have gone away from it.
Yes.
But
But
they
they
don't-
still put a body out there. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, just get rid of the body.
Would you throw future Caddy into that conversation too?
it's too early.
Not
No,
yet.
way too early.
Not yet.
Yeah, way
He was
too early.
subbed off 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. Everyone has a bet.
No, but I'm on him for Rising Star, so I'm all in on him, but not. No.
All right, let's do the mighty Essendon Football Club.
Speaking of.
Hey,
Oh, here we go.
look at him
Don't
go.
be smug, mate.
No, that was the worst game of football I've watched in a long time. That was hideous.
Yes.
How someone said to me that Essendon have 8 games in the first 15 rounds on a
On
Thursday or a
Thursday,
Friday
yeah,
night.
there's a lot.
Is that? I haven't checked it. I hope that's not right because that is
But this
awful.
happened last year as well, didn't it? There was
Why
a long
does that
string of
happen?
Can you
Essendon.
remember when Carlton, was it under Bolton maybe,
Oh,
where they had
yeah.
like 8
Oh,
Friday night games?
It's gross.
Sinkers every
It's gross.
time.
No, look, hats off. You won the game, the ugliest game of footy of the round. I do like Archie Roberts. I thought he played really nice footy. There's something there with him. Xavier Duursma recapturing
Yeah.
some form is a nice thing. You know, we always liked him. What? You know,
I'm just going through
It's
till
too many.
May 29, just quickly on Essendon.
there's
It
a
goes
lot. There's a lot, isn't there?
Saturday night, so nothing next round.
Okay.
Then it goes Friday night footy, Thursday night footy, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, and that's up to May
God.
29.
Come on.
Yeah, and then there's another Thursday at the end
Honestly,
before round 15.
Essendon are in the stage of their lives where they should be on the Sunday shift.
Sunday, 3 p.m.
Why are they not on the Sunday shift?
Who are, well, we've got it. Who are the 4 teams who should be playing who just should be circling around?
West Coast,
West Coast,
St
Essendon.
Kilda, Richmond, and Essendon. I'm willing to put Melbourne in that
I'm putting
conversation.
Melbourne in it.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
Melbourne in
Those teams deserve that shift
Yeah.
at the moment.
So it's hard to whinge on a 7 o'clock on a Sunday night sitting at Optus. We deserve to be there.
Yeah, no, that's what you get.
Yeah,
That's what you get.
We deserve to be there.
Zach Reed, that was nice. Look, it's
Good weekend for the
that.
Reds.
Good weekend for the Reeds. There was
the draftee, El Hawley. How do you say his name?
yeah, you got it.
That's
Saad
right.
El Hawley.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was really good. Late.
He
Like,
was.
there
He
a couple
came
of
on,
touches,
provided
good
some
energy.
run, was
Liked it.
sharp. Yeah.
I love the just back yourself. I don't know what Brad Scott would have said, but I imagine it would have been when you get the football,
Run.
just back yourself.
Yeah,
And
go.
like the candy you sold,
Yeah.
that was too easy.
Yeah.
That was far too easy.
When we get to Port, I want to figure out, did Essendon win or did Port lose? Look,
yeah,
is
it's
that just a
bad.
bad
Yeah, it's
Port
bad.
song?
Well, here we go. We
There
go
was a
straight.
few- there was a
Into Port?
few- there was a
We
few
can go
bad
straight
games.
into Port. I said bad news, good news. Bad news that they're going shithouse. Rosie and Jason Horn-Francis. It's like it's almost like the Batman and Robin debate. It's like, well, Butters seems like Butters is the Batman. They need their Batman back.
What was up
Yeah.
with the Hornet on the weekend?
Yeah, he just
someone
couldn't-
dropped 2.
It was like Space Jam. Someone had taken his special
Mate,
powers.
He
Yeah.
looked like me out there.
It was unbelievable. That mark, the sitter.
Twice, two
Yeah.
two
Remarkable.
uncontested marks, just dropped them,
And
and
then he picked up his energy to try to get something happen, and it almost got worse. You know,
yeah,
He's
no,
just
we
trying
kicked
too
a
hard.
cracking goal, and you're like, well, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. But
Yeah.
he had a day that was
Yeah.
even his number one supporter Kane was like, that was deplorable.
Yeah.
I can't remember why we're so high on him going into the year, but it's just natural progression.
It's natural.
No,
Yeah, it's
he's
time.
it. No,
Yeah.
I'm not off him.
no, he's
And he had
not
a-
off him, but he hasn't started.
He
like
had
It
a-
doesn't help you had to play forward because who went down early? Lukosius went off
Yeah.
at Adelaide Oval against Richmond, so then he had to go play forward for the game. Like he hasn't
Marshall's
had-
out for the year.
Yeah.
Dixon's
Yeah.
retired. So, yeah, it's...
We need a couple of
Um,
forwards. The
Butters-
good news, I like Christian Moraes.
Well, Butters might be back this week, apparently.
Well, that's good. They
There's an
need him.
outside chance he's back this week.
But
Well,
they struck one with that Moraes. So 27 disposals, 7 marks, went at 85%. Just ran all day.
He looked great.
And he wanted to get the ball moving. He wanted to win.
So, Porter on fumes.
Porter massively on fumes.
Where are they sitting?
The coaching swap. That's interesting to watch. I would have thought.
Here's what I think should happen if it continues to go in this path. I don't know when the first showdown is, but maybe Ken goes into the room on the Thursday and says, guys, this is my last game.
Right.
Tap out
Give us
after
what
the
you got.
showdown.
I've loved coaching. Let's win this showdown. Let's go and give it one more great crack.
Yeah.
Joshy takes over next week. I just think I admire them for trying, and they obviously have so much respect for Ken.
Yeah.
And he loves the club. And in some ways, this could have worked, but often this just doesn't work.
Yep.
And I reckon it's just, what are you doing? Oh, Kane actually said it best. You're kind of wasting a year.
Yeah.
Like, just get on with it. So
Well,
I reckon now that we've seen enough, or we're seeing enough, if
Yeah.
this continues the next 2 to 3 weeks, he's got to make
Gotta
the
have
call.
it.
And so before we do start, a massive tip of the hat to Cochrane.
Yep.
Tourette's would have had some challenges along the way. I know he played sub, but he'll get a game this week, you'd think for sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Fremantle, well done. On the scoreboard, I do feel as though there probably should have been a top 6 side. That's an 80-pointer.
Yeah.
I think inside 50s.
It was still scrappy as all hell.
Yeah, it was scrappy. West Coast kicked 2 goals in the first. Somehow the ball got punched back into play. And
Twice.
Brockman kicked a goal. And then the other one, Sharp, went to ground for some reason, dropped a chest mark, flying Ryan goal. So he cleaned. There's probably 6 or 7 things they could clean up that would have helped contribute to either more goals, like Bolton, I reckon, at times. Tried to do way too much.
He's building, isn't he, though?
Well,
that was better.
He pissed the forwards off.
Yeah.
I reckon 4 or 5 times he had a bomb that went out the forward,
yeah.
Josh Tracy.
Yep.
Another time when he took 3 bounces, then the 4th bounce didn't come, and Amos was like, I can't keep running around in circles. Spat on you in circles. But they're building, you're right.
Well, they kicked the ball over his head like 3 or 4 times, Bolton. He just had
it just didn't work. And a couple of times he fumbled when he didn't,
It's probably going to take 6 or 7 games for him to feel that chemistry.
Which is interesting because they do need it. They still need that live. But I want to talk about my man, my favourite player.
Kahuna.
Sorry. Kahuna's automatically
What,
up.
are you doing Dudley?
Little duds.
Patrick Voss. I am a Voss man through and through. He brings so much energy.
He does.
Yeah.
What about him nearly poking the eye actually out of Tracy's socket? Josh Tracy didn't even kick that goal.
Yeah.
But I reckon, again, he kicked 1 goal on the weekend. It goes down as 1 goal 3.
Yeah.
But there was 1 out in the full, one didn't
One
score.
didn't make
Yeah.
distance.
Feels like maybe he'd be a really good key back.
The best
I
kick he
reckon
had
he
was when he
gives-
centered it to the top of the square and found Jackson.
I
which might have
reckon
been
he
an
gives.
accident.
Please, mate, Vossy. I did say, boys, I think you're getting too high on him. I was like, I am probably a bit high on him. He's not great at kicking.
Yeah.
But I actually think he brings something.
He does.
He
Yeah,
brings
he
a
brings
lot
energy.
of shit.
Yeah.
And so does Josh Tracy.
He's big and strong, and he makes a contest, and he would be annoying to play against.
Anytime there's a scrap, he's the first one there.
I enjoyed it. And Dave, he's going to give away a stupid free kick or something.
Yeah,
but
he's
you're
gonna
going to know
spray a
he's
few.
there. And we interviewed Banfield after the game. He was like, he's ridden the wave of Thursday nights being omitted and whatnot.
Yep.
I think he's come in and he brings a bit of spunk. And I reckon Fremantle don't have a great deal of spunk.
Yeah, no, that's a fair shout.
And
That's a
like
fair
Matty
shout.
Johnson going to Harley Reid too.
Who would you have voted for?
Is he
3-2-1.
pissed off that you didn't get a vote again?
Yeah, well, Lee Spur didn't even vote for Andy Brayshaw.
So in the call,
No offence, Lee, I do love Lee.
in the call we asked, who's voting? Anyone in here voting today? No. And went through it and it was Robbo.
Our man, Robbo.
Shout out Robbo, the chairman.
Who else had one other than Spurry?
Scully.
Scully and then Spurry. I said, Spurry? He wouldn't know if his arse end was on fire. And I was like, dude, joking. And then sure enough, he didn't put Brayshaw in.
As someone who's done it, have you ever done it? The only thing you're terrified of is that's going to happen. The one who was so obvious, you don't even give him one vote.
I may have spoken to a Brayshaw today on the phone who was like, what the f*** was he thinking? Anyway, but we get eaten up in these medals over here. From the outside, you've won 4, you've won 3.
Yeah.
I guarantee, if you said to Caleb, would you get rid of a medal for a final win?
Oh, yeah.
A final win, not a grand final,
No.
a final win.
Yeah, he'd do it.
You drop him in a second.
Yeah,
So,
he'd trade all 4 for 4 finals wins.
Correct, and so Andy wouldn't care.
No,
He'll get
it's
one.
weird. Do we count any others? Like do we count the Anzac Day? Is there like someone's keeping a
Anzac
tally?
Day, I think.
Is someone keeping a tally of who's got the most?
I don't know.
Was it Swanee?
Probably Darcy Parish.
Probably, no, he would be
Parish has got like 8 of them.
Joe Danaher had a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I feel like
He had
Swanee
at
had
least one.
a few.
Mark McGough.
Yeah,
He had a couple.
golf in year 12
Specialist.
at school.
A specialist.
Yeah, so that's about what I've
Is that
got.
have we had the siren?
I think we've had
Yeah.
the siren.
Okay, let me
You're
go
up.
back to my list. Adelaide. Okay. So
You got Adelaide so far down.
look, I hassled them on Friday,
Yeah,
and I
you
just
don't
said I don't
believe-
believe it yet. And now they're playing North. They're going to beat up North at home. They did, so they're 3-0. I'm still not that convinced.
Well, I've taken
or
unders
impressed.
and locked it, so it's going to be hard from here.
Well,
Please.
I just want to remind everyone that Essendon were 8-2 and a draw up to
really?
round 12 last season and didn't play finals. They won
Do you,
3
do you
more
know,
games.
do you know,
Yeah, but
do you know
they
the
were
better
no
way
good.
to say that is?
Uh,
They'd only lost. Essendon only lost 2 of their first 11.
Yeah, that's true. That is a better way to say it. And there's always a team that does this. Shoots out of the gate, and everyone goes, here they come.
Yeah, but we knew this was happening with Adelaide.
And at the back end, everyone goes, oh, yeah, that's
No,
right.
no.
Yeah.
There was a fixture thing. They have had a very, very
Who
favourable
they had again?
fixture. St Kilda,
Yeah, they bottom 4,
North Melbourne.
bottom
and
5.
is it Essendon?
no, it was...
Yeah, Essendon.
Yeah.
They
Oh, yeah,
smashed
sorry,
Yeah,
Essendon.
it's
yeah.
Essendon. So that's a pretty...
Oh, they're all bottom 6.
Yeah. That's
So this week will be the good one. Gold Coast, on the Gold Coast.
correct. This
Yes,
is
that's-
okay. So
this is
do
a measuring
this,
stick.
and I'll look up
Yeah.
and go. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Because I just needed something.
For the grand final
Momentum
preview.
can be a funny thing too.
I'll tell you what I'll give you. You've got to give Adelaide a massive pat on the back.
Yes.
For what?
Bring their poaching of players. Their two best players have come from another club, like Dawson and Rankin. Like watching them run around, I'm like, how they managed to get them. And Rankin was a bit up and down, and Dawson was a wingman.
Yep.
Now they're the two the best. So you tip it to that.
That's true. Yep.
And they've got Thriller. Thriller's their forward.
Yeah, he's
The rest of the veggies on the meat.
He's the sun.
Yes.
And the rest just rotate around the sun.
Okay.
I reckon you like that?
Yeah, it's okay.
The
you'll
fog's like a
use that.
small moon.
That's okay.
I guarantee he will use
just
that
so-
at some point
So
this
if
week.
you ask me, bringing those guys in, they didn't lift the ceiling. They just lift the roof. Anyway, so, no, I was going to say Saligo too. Saligo is
they got
playing
a lot
at
of-
an
I
All-Australian
like
40 level.
I was never big on their defence, but now I'm in love with their defence. Just getting it done.
Yeah.
No
I agree.
superstars.
I don't disagree.
Okay, well I'll go
Just pump the brakes.
Richmond, and I'm going to.
They're winning the flag.
They're
That's
winning the
the
flag,
thing.
mate.
I've got two teams winning the flag.
I'll tell you, this weekend, grand final preview, Gold Coast versus Adelaide. Richmond, I'm just going to have them give them the bullet because I had the Mansell stuff already. That's the only thing I'd written down.
Fair enough. Is that the second week in a row?
Yeah, I think, but
You've
think
got to
so.
be careful with that.
Yeah, but I planned not to do it.
Yeah.
I planned to talk it
That
through,
doesn't
and then I
matter.
was stolen
Once
because
the
it was
bullet's
talking about St
gone,
Kilda.
mate, the bullet's gone. Okay?
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
well, I planned
Richmond
to use
people,
the bullet.
I did 30 seconds of research.
For the rest of the
Just to let you know.
season, you can't bullet the same team 2 weeks in a row. Josh,
Okay.
hold us to account.
Who's going to keep track of that?
Mainly
not me.
Nick. Josh he keeps you to account.
Richmond are going to be as bad as we've ever seen, I think. I'll just put that in there.
That-
I know
that-
they beat Carlton,
That round one win is going to
Who's
be
the
the
worst
only
team
one.
you ever seen?
West Coast or Melbourne.
Fitzroy at the end.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I can't really remember that.
I reckon that Melbourne
Melbourne in
years.
that years or West Coast in the year they lost 5 or 6
A few of those
by 100.
Carlton teams were pretty ordinary too for a while there.
Yeah, a few in there. All right, North Melbourne. I was close to giving you the bullet too. I've built you up and I've built you up, and then you just let a team get 3 goals in front and do nothing about it. No, so North Melbourne, just quickly, I think it was a timely reminder that you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
And they say, good teams, if you lost a couple, you're not as bad as you think you are. So
Yeah.
there's room, but they are a team that needs all cylinders to be firing at once.
Yes.
Sheasel was really quiet early.
Yep.
And got 26 in the end, but it was...
A relatively quiet start to the year.
Yeah,
Sheasel.
he ended with 28 last week and had 10 or
But it was
12 in the
a
last
quiet 28,
in the last
yeah.
quarter. Came charging, when the game was
He's
dead.
always going to get 25.
Yeah, so just keeping an eye on them. Caleb Daniel tried to do way too much by foot.
Yeah.
I think Scott at one stage is running and bouncing with Dan Curtin up his ginger. Just bits like that. It needs 22 pieces to be moving in this exact same direction to be able to be a team that's going to compete. That game was done. I know that the margin fluctuated, 4 goals, 5 goals,
It's kind of like the
6
derby.
goals, 3
It was like the
goals.
derby.
It was over.
like-
It was
never
over.
really.
It was over at quarter time. Yeah.
This was my concern coming into the year with North, and I think we all thought they were going to be better, and they will be better. But I just can't see them getting to like 7, 8, 9 wins. I just can't, they
I
don't.
think I can.
They're not there yet.
They'll beat St Kilda. They'll beat Melbourne. They'll beat
Essendon,
West
maybe.
Coast. They'll beat Essendon. They'll-
Yeah, but there are no guarantees.
Sheasel started. I expected him to rip teams apart this year.
Well, he might be in that Finn
He's just
Callahan
been
space
okay,
too.
yeah.
There's a little bit of like, all right, let's put some time into Harry Sheasel now.
Yeah.
Like, there's always that next stage of your career where you go from being this guy could be anything to.
But even on yesterday, no one really paid him attention.
They still had 26.
Nah, but the
it wasn't-
ball. I was having a close look at Harry Sheasel, but the ball, at times, bouncing away from. Those days where you just watch a player.
It's not
and
your day.
They could have had 6 touches in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
That the ball's chipped to him and it goes over his head, and then the
Yeah.
next one, the handball comes off your shin, and you're like,
Yeah, football adjacent.
yeah,
Jeez, I was just looking-
yeah,
In the screen,
yeah, there.
but never with the footy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drives you mad.
Oh.
Is this me?
Yeah.
You did North, didn't you?
Yes.
This is my last team. Melbourne. I would have had a look at bulleting them as well. Simon Goodwin well and truly under the pump. Gold Coast thumped them on their home deck. They have Geelong in Geelong this week, as if things couldn't get
Well,
harder.
they've got good memories of the 200 odd down there.
It's true. Essendon in gather round after that. So they don't even get Essendon in Melbourne, where it's like, gather round, who knows what happens in gather round.
Oh, I still reckon they'd probably Essendon Army would outswarm Melbourne Army.
Absolutely. There'll
So
be
that-
way
that-
more Essendon fans in Adelaide
okay,
than there will
okay.
be.
Yeah, okay.
100%. And then they have Freo at the MCG and Richmond at the MCG. So you would say that there's a way where you could see them winning 2 or 3 of those. Right? But this is what I think will be the
I
true
think-
test. If Goodwin can't win 2 or 3 of those,
If they go 1-3 or
they
even
sack him?
0-4, I don't know. Do
Or
you know
he
what?
walks.
This whole changing the culture to love
Yeah.
thing over the summer,
That's the love.
it only works if you come out and win some games.
No, but also just think about it being your girlfriend. Once it's done and dusted, you don't just go, well, now I'm going to do love.
yeah.
Like, you don't just go, oh, I bloody love you, babe. Oh, gee whiz,
Yeah.
spiritually, I'm connected to you on a level that we never knew we had. Bullshit.
Yeah. You've also been at the pub
I give
the
it
last
6
3
months.
days.
I give it 6 months.
You're just trying to bloody get some action. That's all you're trying to do.
Harvey Langford.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Looked at him for the Rising Star.
Yeah.
He won't leave that midfield now.
Oh,
I think it needs
hopefully
to
not.
dawn on a few of them. We said it was coming. Just quickly on Max Gawn. He's been beaten and beaten and beaten.
Yeah.
He was slaughtered by Cherry and beaten by Wits. However, the run comes now. He goes Sam de Koning, then he goes Draper and Bryan. Then he goes Jackson in terms of size. Jackson's going well.
Darcy might be playing then too.
And he's got a little bit of Richmond in there. He's got West Coast in there. Then he's got a bit of Lloyd Max. So I reckon I'm thinking maybe Max is slowing and he's at the age where that would typically happen.
Oh, it makes sense.
I think you can make a proper solid assessment on Max Gawn's future level after the next 4 or 5 months.
It's probably this next month for Melbourne is so crucial to every
Well,
part.
actually, did you read the
Do they have
column?
another ruck?
Sorry, did you read the column?
They got Tom Campbell as their backup.
Right, Tom Campbell.
Did you read the comments from Max? I think they
Oh,
were.
good. No,
I half had it on, and it was like the leaders saying a shot at the leaders.
isn't he one?
No. Well, yes.
I don't think he's having a shot at himself.
Yeah,
You could read into that. what you
I
like.
half caught it on a footy program last night when I got home. I didn't. And they highlighted the comments and the comments here. Who are they aimed at? Petrarca, Oliver. So maybe it's not all.
There was
love.
This has got the West Coast cliff
Stink.
written all over it. All these old
Well, the only
need to
thing
cash
is,
in.
the only
Cash in.
thing is they've started early enough to
They have.
swing to turn. The ship's sinking.
Yeah.
Now you got to save as
But they
many
gotta cash
people on
in.
board.
Yeah.
And by bringing in Harvey Langford and
Lindsay.
the other Lindsay
And
they'll
letting
get-
a few go for
and they'll get
Windsor.
another
Windsor we like.
They'll get another 2 or 3
Yep.
top.
Van
15
Royen's a
God.
piece. You can invest.
I had
a bit of
Lindsay.
time in.
not
I had
convinced.
Lindsay
He's not an
on
A.
field.
He's
Not
not your
convinced.
1A.
Who's that?
Van Royen.
I'm not
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
He-
convinced. That's another key forward that's probably paid a fair bit. Like
I think
I'm not
he's-
convinced by any.
I
of
think
them.
he's had to play in a far more important position than he's ready for. I think because they haven't had anyone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's too
it's
much
like
Melbourne.
It's like Nick Larkey's kicking 60 goals. I reckon in 50 years' time, CEO of the AFL is going to go back to the books and say, just put that down as 100.
Just double
It
it.
was worth it.
Larkey kicking 60 that year is impossible. Give him money.
West Coast. Oscar Allen going back. You kind of hate to see that. But is that...
Well, you can't have one disposal to 3/4 time and not do anything.
I know, but is it... Like, did he just get a bath? Did he not apply himself? Like,
Against Smart and Freo got a really experienced back line.
He
and
couldn't
had
get near it.
Good tools, Draper, Pearce, Cox, Wright. Like he had no mates up
No.
there. Like the kids he's got playing up there with him. Archer Reid, Jack Williams. Like
Yeah,
no
Archer Reid just
Waterman.
showed a
He
few,
is
but still.
one out, and Waterman is really crafty.
That's my Nick
Yeah.
Larkey argument.
Oscar's not.
Yeah, well, that's
crafty.
it. And that's why Waterman got the All-Australian last year.
Well, Oscar's really straight up and down. He's a meat and potatoes guy. Like
Yeah.
Waterman's crafty enough to find a little space here or there, do something a bit
Are you eating
enigmatic.
something or what are you
Just
Yeah,
had a
what's
mint.
going on?
just had a
What's
mint.
happening?
There's
Well, I had
a lot of
eggs,
saliva
I had
going on.
eggs before.
A mid-chat. I thought you
Well,
had
eggs,
like a...
no, the eggs were early. Like, why you decide just now?
Yeah, why on the last team would you put a mint in your mouth?
I just felt like it.
Well, that's a saliva.
I reckon we've found the phantom farter, and he's tried to spread a bit of mint smell.
We all know who that was.
Yeah.
We all know who that was.
Yeah, so do they have... But he might have to stay there, right? Who have they got? If McGovern misses
So
a couple of weeks...
I would play Oscar in defence because he's a headless chook at the moment.
But
in
there's no
forward
other...
line.
Yeah, then they don't have any other
They're not
backup
gonna
tools,
win.
right?
But if you're not playing Oscar in the forward line, and let's say that Waterman's not ready, your forward line is Jack Williams and Archer Reid,
Well, it wouldn't have mattered yesterday. Was that anyway?
you still got to be able to kick a score.
They're not going to do that.
But you think Oscar? You think is not capable of? That's just one bad
no.
game, or you just think he's?
No, I think West Coast. You guys had them winning 8 or 9 games or something.
No, I didn't. I said maybe 6.
Like I think they're going to be worse than what they have been.
Yeah, it
Far
feels
worse.
like that.
Like yesterday should have been 80 points.
Their run is tough too.
Gold Coast was 90 points.
Oh, That's been the 2-minute warnings for this week. Tune in again tomorrow for the mailbag. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. This has been the Hardball Gets AFL show. We'll see you then.